Okay, time to turn our attention to the Conrods. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just giving them a quick clean. You can see they're a bit dirty. And whilst cleaning them up, what I'm doing is I'm just checking for scratches, nicks, because if there is a chip or a bad dent in a conrod, that can become a stress, an area that focuses the stresses and can lead to conrod failure. And conrod failure is relatively common on a Trident. When I say relatively common, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. Obviously, especially when you're already pushing the bike. So, and if you do have conrod failure, then you're talking bad news, because that could just wreck the whole engine. And even if the engine is recoverable, then it's a major job. You've got fractured cases, you've got bits of metal absolutely everywhere. It's you don't want it to happen. So it's important that we're confident that the conrods are okay. On the other hand, you can buy replacement billet conrods to be on the safe side, but they're very expensive. So unless you're going to be really hammering the bike, I don't think they're necessary. Well, not necessary. I don't know. I've not had none of my bikes that have ever broken a rod, but I do know bikes that have. And generally, yes, they've been pushing them hard, but not necessarily. Sometimes you're just tooting down the road and suddenly bang, the rod goes. So it's one of those. You want to make sure the rod's okay, but on the other hand, you don't want to be forking out, I don't know, £600 or something for a set of rods that you don't really need. So I'm going to clean them. I'm just cleaning them up. I'm just checking them for especially sort of dents where that's going to, all the stress lines are going to form around that dent, and that can lead to failure. So, but initially this one looks okay. I'm just giving them a clean. I'll carry on cleaning. I've got Scotch-Brite, which is it will clean without scoring. Yeah, there's just a few little, they're just little surface marks. I'm just checking. The here, that's where the stresses form around here, but they do tend to break sort of in the middle of the rod, from what I've seen of ones that have failed. But that one looks okay. I mean, we're just going to clean them up anyway, because it's better that we do. Take the opportunity to clean them up now. That rod looks okay. Go on to the next rod. There's some of this burnt mess on it. Now a bit messy, but I'm looking to see if there is any damage that might lead to failure, but I can't see any. Just a little bit of surface scoring, which I'm just trying to polish out. There's a little bit of a mark there, but I don't think it's enough to worry about. So I'm going to carry on cleaning these and checking them. If I see anything that I really need to report about, I'll get back to you. Okay, I've cleaned up the conrods and they all look good. I can't see any sort of dents or deep scratches in them, so I think they're fine. So what we're going to do now is we've got the new shells, the oversized shells, and we're going to put those in the conrod. These are the original shells that we took out. You can see from the grey colour that they're not worn that much. Now, the engine's obviously been rebuilt at some point, but they were quite scored, if you remember. The actual journals were scored, so it's perhaps not had oil changes or whatever it should have done. There's stuff in the oil that's gone round. Right, so we're going to fit the new shells. You can see that there's no oil holes in the shells or in the big end, so they can be fitted in any location. The main thing is to make sure there's absolutely no grit or anything on the sort of where the shells are going to sit. Because if there is, it will like bruise the shell, and if there's a bit of grit at the back, it will like make a pimple on the inside, and that will be a massive wear point. So make sure there's absolutely no grit or anything on the back of the shell. And then we've got a slight notch on the Conrod, and we've got a corresponding sort of tang, as it were, on the shell, and those go together. And we can see, just by the by, I think you might be able to see that it says 10 thou. Yeah, okay, so we know that these are 10 thou over shells. So they simply, if I can try and get this where you can see it, it simply just pushes in. So if you get it right, they'll just push in. If you get it wrong, they won't. There we go. Yeah, just like that, just pushes in, locates. It doesn't matter too much, but it's at this point it's sticking slightly up at that edge. It doesn't matter, because obviously, now I've straightened it now, just sort of slotted it round, but obviously when they're clamped together, that's they'll push it around automatically. Then do the same, make sure there's nothing at the back, on the back of the shell. Again, we've got a little cutaway and the tang, and they line up. And there we go. Again, just clips in. They're sorted. Then we're going to put the Conrods back on the crankshaft. So this is number 3. So I'm going to take that as the timing side. And then, of course, the important thing is that the bottom half of the big end goes back in the right way round. Okay, so you've got a punch mark on the Conrod, and you've got a punch mark on the cap. Yeah, and so they go that way round, which is basically the cutaway. The notch goes to the notch. The notches are both on the same side. Yeah. Okay. So we're now going to I'll just check the journal. It's all okay. Yeah. So then we're going to put a lot of assembly lube on. Very important to put some assembly lube on these big ends of this seat, because they're a plain bearing, they're brand new, and they won't get oil for 30 seconds, a minute, or whatever. You know, after we start turning the engine over, they need to run on something. Now, which way round the actual Conrods go, I don't think it matters. What does matter is that the cap matches with the rod. I'm going to fit them. I think I'm going to put the dots going to come to the back of the engine, but you know, I don't think it actually matters. I hope it doesn't anyway. Hopefully no one's going to write and say, oh no, you have to have them round the other way. Okay, so it's just going to go on there. And I'll move the crankshaft to its best position for that. Then dot to dot, pop the cap on. That is if it will pop on. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, so that's on loose. Can we see that? Is that in camera? I think it is. And then we've got the new big end nuts, which of course, don't forget, we always use new big end nuts. And we've got our torque wrench, which is set to 18 pounds-foot. And it's very important that we do set it to the correct amount, because it's critical that this is set to the right amount. Too loose and the big end, it can, you know, the nuts have been known to actually come off, and then you've got a, you know, well, fair catastrophe. Too tight, and A, the bearing can tighten up, but B, you can actually snap the Conrod bolt. I don't generally replace the Conrod bolts, by the way. You can. They are designed to stretch, but if you're worried about them, then you can change them. They've got like a square end in the top, so you knock them out, and when you put the new ones in, you just have to make sure the square end goes in, which obviously is to prevent them turning when you do this nut up. But I think these are fine. So I've got my Loctite. Because you want Loctite, yeah. So too loose and they can come loose, too tight and they can affect the bearing or even snap the big end bolt. Either way, it's not great. Okay, put those on there. Let me see. Right, I'm going to start them off just with a normal ratchet, just to get them down. They're biting now, I can feel them biting. These are like a special lock nut. They're cleave lock or similar. So it's a bit like a nylock nut, but instead of a locking bit being nylon, the locking bit is metal. So it's not affected by heat. So obviously never ever use anything like a nylock nut, because then the locking bit will melt and the nut will come loose. Not a great idea. And that's why you never ever reuse these either. It's just mad. You'd be mad. You'd be mad to reuse them. And also mad to use those pipe rust nuts, whatever they're called. Okay. I'm just taking them down until they okay. Now they're just beginning to bite now, so I'm going to go onto the torque wrench. Make myself a little bit of room. Camera's in the way, of course. I've got this set to 18 foot-pounds. I can just feel them tightening up now. There we go. Yeah. Just check them on 18. Yep. That was clicked. And that one's clicked. Just check them. Yeah, they're both clicked. So that's on 18. And that's done up. And let's see what we got on our Conrod. Oh, that's nice. I do like a nice slowly falling Conrod, which tells me that everything is right. It's not too stiff, it's not too loose. That's nice. Great. Really pleased with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go on and repeat exactly the same with the other two Conrods. As I've said before, I am going to fit the centre Conrod because we're building the engine in the frame. I think on balance it's going to be easier. Although last time I rebuilt an engine on the bench, I put the centre Conrod in afterwards with the barrels, and it was an awful lot easier. But because this is in the bike, and I'll be, anyway, I'm going to put them all in. Okay, so I'm just going to put the other two Conrods in, and then we'll come back and see what we've got. Great, and there we go. Conrods are on, and hopefully they're all just nice. They're all just slowly. Oh, that's nice. I just love that. I don't know, it does something to me. All nice and smooth. Great. That's just how Conrods should be. And yeah, so Conrods are on. I'm not going to put the pistons on because I'm going to be rebuilding the rest of the engine, and I'm worried that the pistons are just getting away. So I'm going to put them on later on. I'm going to put some protective material over the Conrods to stop them getting chipped. So I should probably put some tape and that around them. I want them protected, but I don't want them too bulky. But there we go. First part of the crankshaft done, and we're almost ready then to put the crankshaft in the crankcases. Just got to sort the crankcases out. That'll be our next job, and then we'll put the crankshaft in the crankcases, which is fabulous. Anyway, so far so good.